Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony's live subscriber hangout. Let's see here. I didn't get a chance to pre-schedule this live session. I had a lot going on. So I think I loaded it up about 20 minutes ago. Let's see if Chris is here. I just got notification that Chris got his. Hey, Rob. How you doing? Welcome to the live session here on Veloharmony. These sessions are very popular. I got a notification from a company, a vendor. People have been asking, when the channel gets bigger, will you do bike reviews and do other things? And I had to tell them last session, I said, we're already there. We're already getting that. It's not based on the size of the subscribers. What the manufacturers look for is how thorough. They look for your content, just like you guys look for. They look for how thorough the reviews you do are. So we're already attracting reviews. I just got an email from a company, but he didn't send a link to their products. And so I just replied telling him that I need a link to see your store. I want to see what you have. He just wants to send stuff. I don't have the bandwidth for just getting any kind of cycling stuff. Hey, Carlos, welcome. Good afternoon to you. I believe you are in Canada, Montreal. Yeah, if I remember correctly. There was a legend that posted on the channel a comment that just kind of stayed with me. And hey, Howard, how you doing? I wanted to lead off with that. Christopher Ingram is his name. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Christopher Ingram, one of our legends, said, he said, I've been watching your channel since last September, and I've learned so much. He said, I've been biking for about 10 years, and I can honestly say I didn't know enough about cycling to know how much I didn't know about cycling until I found this channel. Yeah, and the reason why I like the way he put it, because there's a lot that applies to a lot of riders. I talk about a lot of times. There's a lot of little things that people are not aware of, even people that compete. I learned a lot from the guy that used to coach me. He was from Eastern Europe somewhere. And so a lot of little things in there. I learned a lot from Greg LeMond's book, and then just following the old school cyclists and all the readings that I've done. And so when he wrote that, it just kind of stayed with me. He put the comment under our latest group ride. I guess he really likes those rides. And that's really why I do the narration. Hey, Peter, welcome. So it was good to see how he worded it. He said, I didn't know enough about cycling to realize how much I didn't know. Because everybody rides and, they're not really aware of the things that they don't know. There is a comment here from a guy named Edgar Cole Jr. on the video that I did with the Sportful glove. He said, I too was in a constant quest for an effective glove for cold weather cycling. He said, hey, farmer, welcome. With each successive acquisition, they got bulkier. Hey, Van Thiefsen, how you doing? They got bulkier and bulkier without getting any more effective. He tried them with and without liners to no avail. Now, the reason I'm getting into that is it's not the size of the glove that really makes it effective, but it has a lot to do with what temperature ranges you're riding in. As the mercury dips much below freezing, it's harder to keep your hands warm. And so you need a glove that will allow you to wear liners, because what it does, it gives you a cushion between the two gloves. And then you get the layering effect. That's what really works. The Sportful is not going to work very well below freezing. It's not designed for that. I don't ride in those temperatures anyway. It just gets too uncomfortably cold. Hey, Steven, welcome. How you doing? It gets too cold, so you kind of have to pick a glove that will allow you to layer. Because a lot of times when it gets very cold here, it's in the low 30s Fahrenheit, close to 0 Celsius. I use liners. I'll put on a wool pair of liners and then put on the glove. And I have a glove called the Rafa Pro Team Deep Winter Gloves, the Rafa Deep Winter Gloves, I believe. I don't think it's Pro Team. That works really well. And that actually keeps water. It doesn't absorb any water because I've used it in the rain. So I have that for very cold temperatures, and then I have the ones for cool temperatures, let's say 6C and up. That's what the Sportful really, that's where it thrives, 6C and up. So your gloves you need to focus on temperature ranges for all your stuff. You know, you really have to look at what they're designed for, and you got to experiment. Some gloves work better with liners, well with liners, and some of them are just too uncomfortable when you try to use them with a liner. So I have two different kinds of liners. I have a real thin liner, and then I have a liner that's thicker, and I found that wool works best. It really does keep the temperature on your hand. It's almost like it creates a cushion of air. So you have the breathability and you have the warmth. So I wanted to get these reviews out there this week to just kind of get these products, because it's that time of year where a lot of people, like right now it's January going into February. So it's not going to be terribly cold everywhere. So people might be able to get out, but certain places until like May, like in Norway, Able is in Norway, so until like May, it's hit or miss with the roads. They're just not clear. But the biggest thing is keep your hands dry and your feet. Because once it gets wet, even in cool temperatures, you get uncomfortable. You don't want to be out there. So I'm very pleased with the Sportful glove. It will work really well in, I guess, cool temperatures like from 5 or 6C and up. They work well. I like that they're not bulky. I just got an email from the USPS. They've delivered Christopher's stuff, so that's good. I did 2 days. They took their own time to get it there. A day late, not that bad. So I hope you guys are getting ready for the weekend. Weekend is coming. I didn't get to ride this week at all. Just busy with other stuff, and it doesn't really matter. All I'm going to do, like today, I'm going to spin a little bit this evening, maybe about 45 minutes to an hour, and then just Saturday sit in and see how my body feels. When you don't get to follow your regular training regimen, don't sweat it. But unless you're preparing for an event, if you're just doing your regular rides, the week where you didn't follow your regimen, sometimes your legs get what we call blocked up. Sometimes, not all the time. So when you go to do a ride after you've been off for a while, pay particular attention. Hey, Bill, welcome. Bill's one of our super legends. Pay particular attention to how you feel before you start doing anything. That's not the time to go with attacks and other things like that, because you know that you've not followed your regular schedule. Your body may be under par. Now, there are times when your body will surprise you. You take off, like I've been off since Monday, so that's what, 4 days? Yeah, 4 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I didn't ride. So today I'm going to spin. Not really train, just spin for about an hour. Sometimes you get surprised. You take off a block of days and you get on the bike and you fly. So if you get out to do your ride after you've had some time off that you didn't plan to have off, and you feel good, yeah, by all means, play, do whatever. But if you don't feel so great, sit in, get the time in, sit in and, just draft. So you have to listen to yourself, not only when you take time off, all the time. You must always listen to how your body feels. So it's really, hey, Philip, welcome. I was just talking about, the fact that I've been off since Monday, just busy stuff. I've done a huge block of training since December to about mid-January. And then I backed off for a few days last week, or every other day. And then this week I was just too busy to train. So what I was explaining is you want to, sometimes when you have time off like that in a regular week, when you go to do a ride or a group ride, sometimes you feel great and you're flying, and then you go. And that's why I talk about you got to respond to how you feel. So if you feel great, yeah, by all means, play. If you go to the ride after some time off and you don't feel great, then you sit in, because later in the ride, your body will come around. Sebastian Martinez, how you doing, man? Sebastian's one of the guys that did our remote fit. Good to have you here. So those of you who are planning on riding the weekend, I hope everything goes great. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? Aaron Powell, one of our earlier legends on the channel. So you must always listen to how your body feels. It's very important. Anything you're doing, not just cycling. If you're doing cross training in the winter, you go into the gym to do exercises. Let's say you're doing weights or whatever. You need to pay attention to how you feel all the time. That's what controls what you do. Hey, Ron, welcome. Now, Robert has a trike. I don't know, Robert, did you get your trike worked on? Robert has a trike that he got a part for. He's going to have installed. I don't know if you found a shop that can help you with that. He wanted me to help him, but I don't work on trikes. I've got too much going on to try to get into something new. Oh, good. I'm thinking down the road. Somebody talked about folding bikes. I did additional research on the folding bikes. But what I'm really thinking about down the road is one of those cargo bikes. That would be cool. They're unusual. I mean, they're not everyday stuff, but it'd be good to have a bike you can carry stuff, just throw it in. Aaron asking if there are any trackies here, because he's talking about people that ride the track. I did that before. I did that a long time ago. Got a little bored with it. Hey, David Brunati, Italiano. Eric, welcome, super legend. How you doing? Good to have you here. I was talking about getting, down the road, looking into getting a cargo bike for just running around and reducing the use of my car where possible. Because where I live, I can use a bike pretty much everywhere I go. It's a suburb, it's small, everything's close. So I don't go into the city that frequently. I have to put the cars that I have on what they call a trickle charger because it sits so much. And so I alternate the use, the old cars in good condition. Hey, Steven. Steven says, I'm looking at getting a Rafa core jersey on sale. Have you tried the core? If so, how was the fit? I'll normally get a pro, same size as you. I found the core to be looser than the Pro Team, which all the other lines are. The Pro Team, they say they have race fit per se, or aerodynamic fit. But they're okay. My challenge with the core was the fabric was heavier. And where I live, I wanted jerseys that I could use in the warmer months. At the time that I got it, I thought they were warmer. I bought the pink and the white. They fit fine. You'll probably find it fit closer to the classic fit than it is to the Pro Team. But yeah, you get your same size in there and it should be okay. But the fabric is warmer. It's more like a midweight for the core. And they don't specify that. They just have core jerseys. And unlike the other lines where they have Pro Team flyweight, Pro Team lightweight, midweight, and so forth, they don't have different fabric weights in the core. But I believe it's like a midweight. So in the winter, early spring, late spring, the core would be fine. But for summer, I wouldn't use the core. It would be a little too warm. But the fit is fine. The prices are great because it's more like they're entry level. So yeah, you can't go wrong with it. Just know that you can't use it in the summer. It will work great in weather where it's damp, cool, and so forth. But once it starts warming up, you will need something lighter. That was my experience with them. Paul had problems getting them to fit him too well. My buddy Paulie Longa. So he didn't like the core that much, but he still has core. He wears them. I ended up returning mine. I needed something lighter, and then I got the flyweight stuff. I did a review on the core. Let me see if I can find the video here. That will give you an idea. Since we're a similar size, you'll see what it looks like. I had the pink and the white. Let's see here. If I can find it. I'll put the link on here. Yep, there we go. I think this will help you. It was a popular video. Let's see here. Core. I did it with the lightweight shorts and the core. I bought them together. And here's the link to the video. I think you'll find this help. You get to see how it fits. That's the core jersey. They're pretty nice. Just the fabric is kind of worn. And at the price point, they were good. They were on sale. They were very reasonably priced. Welcome, Willem Ritsima. There is an actor with your name, Willem. I think Willem Dafoe. I like him. He played the Green Goblin and many other movies he's made. Is a very distinctive name. Let's see. He was also in John Wick. He was in John Wick. It's Von. How you doing? Abel, welcome. Super legend, Abel Bajay. Glad you could join us. So Ron Sowers says, what has been your experience, if any, with wiggle.com online site? Very good. Yeah, I have a free, I'm going to give you an account when you buy. I've been buying stuff from them over the years. By the way, Wiggle currently owns Chain Reaction Cycles, because I found Chain Reaction first many years ago before I found Wiggle. You know, you just search for a product and they show up, or who has the best deal. I've had very good experiences with them. They ship things very timely. In fact, a few weeks ago, I got some socks from them to go with some jerseys that I have. They're pretty good. I believe they're carrying some of the Rafa stuff now. I have not purchased any Rafa products from them, but I've purchased other stuff from components. When I was building my bikes, I got some of my Campagnolo Super Record parts from them. And another place called Pro Bike Kit. Got some, you know, because some people have stuff, and even Merlin Cycles. So yeah, no problem with them. They're pretty good. And I think you have like up to a year if you need to return something. They give you this obscene amount of time if you have any issues. I think you get like a year if you need to return. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Zia said they have it's probably the stuff that Rafa has in that, what they call their archive sale. There is a jersey. I'm glad you brought up Rafa. What was it? I was talking to Paul Ilonga. What do I think about watermelon soda? What do I think about titanium bikes? I own one. My orange bike is a titanium bike made by Kish, a custom bike. I think they're fine. Titanium is, well, supposedly theoretically lighter and stronger than steel, and they don't rust. But I like the feel. But it has a lot to do with how it's built. My bike was custom made, so he lightened the tubes. I made a video about that. I don't know if I can find that for you. That may help you. Yeah, it depends on how it's made. When you're buying it off the shelf, they may make it for a heavier rider and use just real strong tubes. I've owned titanium bikes that were dead. You know, like it was made by Independent Fabrication, which is a well-known bike manufacturer. I ended up getting rid of the bike because the tubes were dead. They made it to where it was for like a 250-pound rider. All the tubes were very heavy. And so when I hooked up with Kish to build my bike, because they built that bike for me at IF, and they claimed it was custom, but they didn't talk to me. So it has a lot to do with how it's made. I know there's a company called Lightspeed that started the craze. They were very popular and probably still out there. So just make sure you select one with the handling you like and test ride it. Don't just buy it because it's titanium, because they're not all made the same way. That's why a lot of riders will go custom to say, hey, I want a bike that has very responsive handling because this is the kind of riding I do. So that my builder Kish strengthens certain areas and lightens certain areas. And so my bike is really lively. So that orange bike, when I take it out, it's like I've got nothing under me. It behaves differently. And then sometimes I have to move for the steel bike, the Colnago I've been riding the last couple of weeks. So it all varies. But yeah, they're good bikes. Now they're making them with carbon, titanium and carbon combined, even in the tubing. So they've been doing that for a while. 7 Cycles does that. And there's a bunch of there's a company in Australia called Curve or something. I think there's a guy who has a channel here, used my video. I think his name is Cal something. Let me see here. I think he's one of the people that they reference. YouTube will reference other channels that are related to popular channels. So they reference him on my channel as a related channel. What do they call it? They called it, related channel. Cam Nichols. He did a video and he asked me to use a clip from my video about the different materials. And so YouTube references him on my channel page. Let's see here. Hey, Paul, glad you could join. Oh, you're going to Waco. Yeah, Paul's son's car was hit at college while it was parked. But the silver lining was that the person who hit the car was honorable enough to leave a note. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. So yeah, we do have some honorable people on the planet still. So there's hope. Who is this? Joseph Small. He's asking me if I'm gay. Yeah, I'm very happy. Are you? The word gay means happy. So we're going to go ahead and block him so he can go somewhere else and waste his time. He doesn't belong here. That's what I love about YouTube. Watermelon soda. He said, ooh, okay. Was that in reference to, let's see here. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you asked that question. That we work with Kish. I'm not pushing Kish on you. I'm just saying, yeah, walking into the store for any bike, even carbon, not all carbon bikes perform the same. That's the reason why, and I've said it before, that's the reason why you see a team like Team Sky with F10, then people buy the F10 because they're like, okay, if these guys are using that for that kind of riding and that's the kind of riding I want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and buy an F10 because they've tested it for me. That's the reason why the bikes the pros ride sell so well, because you're like, okay, it takes the guesswork out of it because those racers are not going to use a dead bike in the mountains or other places that they ride. That's why people lean that way. And so bikes you don't know anything about, you got to go try it yourself if you have a local bike shop, because the characteristics of all carbon bikes are different. It has a lot to do with the engineering. The way Trek make their bikes for certain models, like the Trek Domani, is going to perform differently than another Trek. So it's got a different market, different price, and so forth. So you really need to do your research into the kind of bike. You've heard of endurance bikes and touring bikes. There's a reason they're calling them that. So the kind of riding you do should gravitate you towards that particular bike in that metal or whatever. Not all carbon bikes are the same. There are some inexpensive carbon bikes that are made for a certain market. The more expensive ones are made for maybe racing or long distance riding or whatever. So you've got to do your homework. Don't just go spend your money without doing your homework. But before you do that, you also need to make sure you get a bike sizing done so you know what bike sizes will work for you. So you're not depending on the guy in the shop. Okay. Let's see here. What do you think about vintage bikes? I have a Francisco Moza with Campy. Yeah, Willem, that's fine. I have a Colnago, more of a replica than a vintage, but I have a Colnago Master that was used by Giuseppe Saroni, a copy of what he used when he won the world championship in 1982. It's red, burgundy, kind of like a dark red and white. And I have a steel fork on there. I could have gone with a carbon fork, but I wanted that look, that vintage look. So yes, I love vintage stuff. They work fine. You know, they're fine. I rode them the last 2 weeks in fast group rides. They're on the film, and I have no problem with that. I even have my mud guards on them. So yeah, unless you're doing a major hill climb competition or something, you don't need the lightest frames, you know. So yeah, I actually miss the shiny components from back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? Where you could polish your hub and polish your derailleur. Even the brake, they were all beautiful, shiny aluminum. And now everything's anodized. I kind of miss that. Watermelon said, I only weigh 140, so titanium wouldn't make much of a difference. It's not the weight so much. I mean, because you're light doesn't mean you want a heavy bike. It's the feel, the performance, the stiffness. When you transmit the power, you want that bike to feel like it's alive. That the kind of joy it gives you. That's what you go for. Riders in the know don't just focus on weight. They focus on how the bike will respond. The same thing for people that do F1 racing and those kind of things on the road. It's not just about weight. It's handling too, all of that. So no, don't focus on that. Find a bike you want a bike that will make you want to go ride instead of one that you won't want to ride. If you're going to spend the money on it, you need to love riding it. So that's what you got to look for. I was fortunate enough to use a lot of different steel bikes when I competed. My team would bring Pinarello and Bianchi and different things. So I fell in love with steel because I just love the way they handle. And I learned that not all of them were created equal. So they have different kinds of steel, the butted steel that they have. So depending on what you have, the Colnago that I have has what they call the Master X Light tubing or whatever. Something supposedly the new steel. And it's fine. And I have a blue bike, which I will do a video on soon, made by Lighthouse Cycles. The guy is retired now. So the bike has become like your real classic. But it's made with Columbus, some Columbus light tubing. They got the badging on it. And it handles really well. You know, but I don't so much get myself concerned about the weight as opposed to how the bike feels when you pedal. You want the bike to be stiff enough to where your power is not wasted. Yeah. So Watermelon said, what do you think about 28 in the back and 50 in the front? 28 in the back and 50 in the front. What are you talking about? The cassette? I guess you mean 50 chain ring. You're talking about compact chain set. Your question is all over the map, so I'm not really sure what you mean 28 in the back and 50 in the front. You wouldn't be riding a 50-28. That's like cross chaining. I think you mean having a compact and a 20. You can have whatever you want. 28 is not the limit in the back. You can go to, if you're talking about cassettes and chain rings, you can use a compact with anything you want. They go up to like 32, I believe, or probably more, depending on which group set. And then you'll need a special derailleur cage. I believe Abel used something similar when he did the L'Etape de Tour. And so, yeah, you can do whatever you want. If you're talking about your drivetrain, whatever you need. I use a 28 on my orange bike, but I have a 3652 chain set in the front, which is a mid compact. But Paul has a compact, which is a 3450. I think that's what you're talking about. Hey, Rodolfo Ramirez. Welcome. Abel Bajay, Dead Bikes. When do you feel those differences? Cornering, can you tell the difference between two bikes on a flat road? Yeah, Abel, you can. The liveliness of the bike. When you get on the bike and you accelerate, and the bike, if the tubing's dead, it's almost like the bike, you have to wait for the bike to get going. And it's just not a lot of fun to use. A lively bike has a crisp feel to it, easy to corner, easy to accelerate. You can feel the difference. And then sometimes the wheel, well, actually most times the wheel will play a part in that. And not 100% of it, but the wheel does make a little bit of a difference. But using the same wheels on multiple frames, you can tell the difference. If the tubing's too heavy unnecessarily, then yeah, you will feel that I have to do more work, and it's like you're waiting on the bike to respond to your effort. You can tell. It just won't be as much fun. And when you get on a livelier frame, you can tell the difference. So if you got a Pinarello F10 and just got another carbon bike that wasn't designed for that kind of riding, you would tell the difference. You would be able to tell easily. There are some very heavy carbon frames out there, and depending on how they engineer it and what they engineered it for, you may not get the responsiveness depending on the kind of riding you want to do. So you really have to be selective and know what you're buying, know what the frame was built for. A lot of the manufacturers will tell you. That's the thing. Let's see here. What kind of, Azia Khalid, what kind of differences do you feel between the steel and the carbon forks? Well, the carbon fork is a lot lighter, so I feel it's a little twitchier. The steel fork is more solid, and there's just more weight on the head of the bike. You feel it when you pick it up. But as far as how it rolls, once the bike is going, I like the steel fork, especially in the wind last week. That thing was blowing like crazy. It was like the bike didn't get bothered much. You just have a more direct contact with the road. The angle of the steel fork, and it doesn't have to be steel to have that rake, what they call a fork rake. It's more forward. And so as a result, I don't have that overlap. Just a different style. It's a relaxed angle that Colnago has always used. The carbon fork is definitely lighter and a little more responsive than the steel. The steel fork weighs more than the carbon fork. I mean, that's easy. You hold them in your hands, you can tell. When I was getting the frame, they offered me a carbon fork. They make a carbon fork for the X Lite. It comes as black, just a black carbon fork with clear coat on it. But I wanted the classic look of yesteryears. And so I gave up, less. I took more weight to get what I wanted. And it's fine. It works fine. It's not a bike I would take to use a hill, like a time trial on a climb, uphill time trial. I wouldn't take the Colnago. I'd probably take my titanium bike because of the responsiveness, and it does weigh less. So yeah, so it weighs about probably maybe a pound more than a carbon fork, which is significant on the front end. But as far as when you're riding, I like the stability when I go downhill really fast on the Colnago. It just seems like it's solid. There's definitely no twitchiness. Not that there's any on the carbon fork, but the carbon fork seems to be livelier and friskier. The Colnago seems to be more planted the faster you go, especially down the descent. Yeah, Eddie, how you doing? Eddie Arnold. David Hefferman, what's your take on rollers for your indoor training over trainers? I've used both. I sold my rollers because the ones I had a magnetic, they had a magnetic resistance bar in the back, and it kept hitting my shoe because I ankle. So right now I use the trainer because the trainer I believe is necessary if you want to work on your fit or something like that. I think every rider should have a trainer. And the reason is that when you're working on your position, I don't want to mess with it on the road. It's more accurate once you get your trainer set up correctly. I use the trainer for doing bike fits. I use it for my workouts, whatever. But having a trainer, your bike is static, and you can check your numbers, check your position, check the level, all of that. You can't do that on the rollers, and that's not what rollers are designed for. Rollers are also good to have if you want to work on being smooth. A 30-minute workout on a roller will probably equate to maybe 10, 15 on the trainer. The rollers require more It's the opposite. I guess I got that backwards. So if you do 30 minutes on the rollers, it's probably equates to almost 45 minutes to an hour on the trainer. The rollers require more balance, stability, so you're working on staying like you're on the road. And you need to make sure you practice. If you're going to use rollers, put it between like a doorway, or put a stool or something you can use to start and get on until you get comfortable enough. Once you're good enough with rollers, you don't need anything to start. You just put the bike on it, clip in, and as soon as you start going, you get your balance. But at first, if you're not good with it, put it between a doorway, because you can fall and you can hurt yourself, you know. But rollers help you maintain smoothness, you know, suppleness and all of that. It teaches you how to pedal just like you do on the road. But once you already know how to ride, I've been riding long enough to where I can ride the same way on the trainer. And so, yeah, so right now I just use the trainer. I sold my rollers with one of those fancy ones. But yeah, if you want to, you know, if you notice some of the events, riders will warm up on rollers. Some riders prefer that, you know. So if it's something you want to try, they're very useful. I think you get, I think it's a harder workout. You got to use your gears. Some of them come with resistance. You don't have to have resistance. You just put your bike on there and ride. Run a fan, of course, because you're stationary. But they require more focus. You can't sit around. You can't mess around. You got to pay attention. You're really riding there. Whereas on the trainer, you can, you know, get your attention divided because you don't need to balance as much as you do on the rollers. So let's see here. Well, Watermelon, I'm glad you like the videos. We make them. We have a lot of support from our super legends. That's why we continue making them. So what's your take on rollers? I already answered that. Let's see. Elite Zuniga, one of our super legends. I'm going to get a bike fitting today. What should I look for so that I know the fitter knows what he or she is doing? Well, before you even book the fitting, let me give you this video that I made for that. You can that will be good homework for you. I made a video about how to select a bike fitter in your area. You need to know what to ask before you even go there and plop your money down. You got to do a little bit of research. Who has the person fitted? You know, you got to know their Palmares. Don't just go to a fitter because they're affiliated with a bike shop. I actually prefer a fit studio. Now, a lot of fit studios, people will run them out of their home like I do. The reason being is that, right, you don't get that much fit business to where you're going to go pay a rent just to run a fit studio. A lot of fit studios have been shut down. People move them elsewhere. They don't have to worry about rent. So don't judge it by that. Focus on whether the person's asking you questions about you, about how you feel during the fit. Don't fall for, oh, it's a red tool fit or it's a fit kit. That doesn't mean anything. They're just tools. The best fitters don't use that crap, you know, because it's not necessary. You should be able to fit somebody without putting electrodes on them. I can look at a rider and see whether they're fitted or not. And that's what you're looking for. Let me find this video here. And then I'll put the link there. You can watch that. That will help you. I did that a long time ago. People had asked for something like that. To select a bike fitter. I think that's what I called it. The search on YouTube is scary good, almost like Google. I guess they're owned by Google. It's like a big search engine now. Let's see here. Here it is. It's just very, very good. Remember back in the day with Lycos and Alta Vista, you'd be searching forever to find anything. There we go. So Elite is one of our supporters of the channel. So these are the people that make this possible. There you go. Glad to be able to help you with that. Watch that video. I think it will give you what you need. And if you're not getting that feel from that person, and the fitter should give you a free follow-up for at least a month. So when you go ride your bike, if you have issues, you can come back. If they're not doing that, and you need to be careful. Tom Nix in Austria. -8 C. That's cold. Wow, that is really cold. Well, we're a balmy. What are we? 18. We're about 60 Fahrenheit. 62 Fahrenheit. It's probably what? 12 C. It got warm today. Yesterday was cold. Every day it changes around here. 16 C. So it's 16 C right now. And it was about 6 C this morning. So it's just a few hours and it changes dramatically. So let's see here. Abel Bajay says, your quick thoughts on Q factor stance with contribution of comfort during a bike fit. I don't know if that matters too much because the body will adapt. People put too much emphasis on that. I know what you're talking about. My pedals that I ride, I buy the Shimano Dura-Ace pedals with the +4 millimeter because I don't want my shoe rubbing on the crank arm. You know, my feet are medium size, but my shoe size is 45 euro. And for some reason, some of the pedals, if they're really close, you can rub the inside of your shoe on there. And I didn't want that. So when Shimano offered that, I got that. Well, that changes your Q factor, supposedly. I don't believe it really matters. Once you set the cleats properly and get the tilt you need, your body adjusts and gets used to that. Some of the people that are buying power meters talk about that because some of the power meters, they have, like, I think there's a little pod on the inside. One of them has a circular pod, which adds to the width. But your body adjusts. You just set your cleat to where it feels fine. Your body will be fine. It's almost like standing shoulder width versus bringing your feet in a little bit. You know, I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. They're not that significant. We're talking millimeters here. You know, 4 mil is just, it's not much. So no, I don't think it matters that much. You set it, you get adjusted to it, it'll be great. Hey, super chat, Elich. I don't know how much help I've given you, Elich. I mean, I appreciate the super chat. He said, thanks for all the help you've given me. I've given some people more help than you, and you have done more for the channel than some of them. So yeah, you're very welcome. And that's why we started this. We're giving, we're doing giveaways for our super legends now. And Christopher Roxbury won the first one. We're trying to give back to the people who are giving because I appreciate everything you've done in the short time you've been here, because many people have been here longer and they have not really done anywhere near you. So I'm glad we've been able to help you. But on that fit, just be careful and do some research on the person you're going to get the fit from, because it matters who they fitted. You know, they should have a little bit of background on how much fit they've done, you know, so you can kind of know, because that's what matters. It's about what their policies are. Do they allow you, like some people, I will tell them, okay, you got 30 days, because some people will get a fit, don't go ride. You got 30 days, go ride, give me any feedback. I don't depend on that because I make people ride during the fit. It almost ends up being like a workout. So when people come for a fit, I tell them, bring your shoes, bring your shorts, whatever. I run the fans. I make them sweat because I want them to go hard. When you're going hard, that's when the flaws in your fit comes out, not when you're going easy. So those are the kind of questions maybe you can ask the fitter. Ask them, do you solicit feedback from me, how I feel? Don't fall for, oh, you're going to ride into that. You should be comfortable in the studio before you leave. So yeah, so now I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat, and thanks for being on Patreon. We appreciate your support. And just if you have any questions, yeah, that's why I'm doing these sessions. These sessions where I started them as a test, and then Robert Tangler and Christopher Roxbury, people like you are like, we love it. And I'm glad because no other cycling channel is doing that. And so because of you guys have been able to do that. So I'm going to keep doing it. It's great. I love the fact that we have so much support to keep it going. You know, so that's great. But let me know how your fitting goes. If you have any problems, we do have a remote fit option. So if you are somebody who can adjust your saddle and so forth, we have a remote fit that works really well. Sebastian Martinez is one of our more recent customers, and then Noel Peg and another guy that comes here. as well. And even Abel Bajay. Actually, Abel's on right now. Abel signed up for coaching. When you sign up for coaching, when we started a while back, I used to throw in a fit. And I worked with Abel on his fit. And he did a testimonial where he said his bike felt like it was brand new. In other words, at first, it was so uncomfortable. It was not a whole lot of fun. But when we got through that phase of his fitting, all the aches that he was having with his hands getting numb and different things, we worked through that. So Abel's one of the people that experienced our remote fit. The remote fit is more challenging. It requires more explanation, but it's more rewarding to be able to help you guys who can't find a local person to do that, you know, the quality fit for you. So that's great. That's good to know that we've been able to help you. Hey, Julie is here. Julie Jofield. Welcome. She says she's at work. Mansoor, how you doing? Nicholas Phillips, have you tried Lecole? What is Lecole? Not sure what Lecole is. Let's see. Oh, okay, good. Oh, okay, there you go. Elise said the fitter is a well-known fit studio located at a person's house. That's exactly what I said. That's good. That tells me something. That tells me this person knows what they're doing, because rushing out to go and rent a studio to do fits, your expenses go up, and then you have to charge so much for fit to cover that, because the fit's not every day. So you got to balance it off. That's good that they're doing that out of their home. That's good. That's a good plus. That means they're going to give you the time you need to really get through the fit. I don't rush my fits. So I don't stack fits back to back. I have an appointment thing on the website. When people book, I give a block of time, what they call buffer in the program, to where once somebody books at 2 p.m., nobody can book until several hours after. So I don't take more than maybe 2 fits a day, because I want to make sure I have enough time to work with that person, because you never know how the fit's going to go. They may come with leg lengthening balances or other things that may need more than the standard 2 hours they may have purchased. You know, if it's the quick fit for 1 hour, I buffer it and put an extra hour. So just keep that in mind. That's good to hear that they're working out of their home. That's actually a plus. You're going to get good care. Good. That's good to know. Mike, the super legend. So howdy. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Let's see here. How do you do your remote fits? Azir Khalid. Well, here you go, Azir. I'll give you some homework. Everybody's asked for that. I'll give you the short and sweet, and I'm going to give you the link. So the way the remote fit work is, you will go and you will sign up, and there is an extensive form that you fill out. Once you sign up, you fill out a form. There's a lot of information you have to send us. And once you fill it out, you submit it. I get that. Then I set up a drive on Google for you. Only you can access it. I send you the link. And now you get an introductory letter that has everything you need. We have specific videos that our Patreon members have access to, and all the people that we coach as well. There are videos beyond what you find on the channel that focus on the places where people mess up when they do saddle hides and whatever else. Once you've done, because you get basically a list of things to do. Once you've gone through those videos, then we're on the same page. Then I give you things to do that will get you there. So you will initially film yourself, and you can talk and tell me what problems you're having. If you want to send in an email, I like for people to talk during the video. That's the reason I do the drive, so you don't have to rush. You know, the video can be as long as you want, and just you ride and film yourself from the side. The front does me no good. Film yourself from the side, and then you tell me what problems you may be having. Because the document you're going to fill out on the site will ask for your bike measurements, your stem length, other things about the bike you currently have, plus your body, you know, because we're basically going to be doing everything from scratch. Once I get all that information, I will basically put together what your saddle height should be. And then after you've gone through those videos on how to check them and make sure you're using, there is a ruler that you have to get. It's a 1-foot ruler from a hardware store with a bubble in it. Very detailed. And the reason is that I want to make sure you and I are doing it the same way. That's the key. So basically, all you need to be able to do is loosen your saddle, move it up or down, loosen your saddle clamp, move it back and forth, because we're going to, first of all, get your height nailed. Once the height is nailed, then we focus on fore-aft. Depending on the brand of saddle you're using, we also talk about how you're going to need to recheck your saddle height after you move it. Because some brands, when you move it forward, it goes down a little bit. When you move it back, it goes up. So we work through all of that. You will get action items to do, and you do them, and then you give me feedback either by video or email, whatever works for you. Once we've done doing everything, then you will record yourself again so I can see if there are any issues, and you will tell me if you have any issues. And then if we need to, we'll do a live session to wrap everything up. We do all of this. We'll try to do it within 14 days. But the information is all here. That was just a quick and dirty. Let me put this link here. But it's a complete fit with our assistance. We tell you what to do. There's the link. Everything, all the questions that you think you might have is answered in there. I put all the details there. And so that's what we did. We started doing that because people asked for that. They couldn't find somebody. A lot of people paid for fit, just like I did when I used to race. I paid for a fit kit. The fit was terrible. People spend money, get a lousy fit. So they asked, why don't you help us even though we're not local? The people that are local, I actually like that because I can be done in 45 minutes. The remote fit takes more time. We do it over a 2-week period because I want people to focus and get it done and not just let it sit because you sign up. We got to get it done and you act on it, but you do it on your own schedule. I tell you what to do, and then you provide those videos or you provide feedback. But we get you fitted just like we would if you were here, because I double and triple check everything you're doing. That's why you need that ruler with the bubble. And then the premium videos really nail down what to look out for, setting the bars and everything. It's a thorough fit. So yeah, it's very involved, but you end up understanding what you need to do. Let's see here. James Thompson, I like watching the group rides. I learn a lot. Do you guys go ride in other areas, cities, states? Not anymore. I mean, we try to stay in Texas is really big. We go to other areas within about an hour and a half. So yeah, other cities. If you look at the group ride, the historical rides, we've been to Livingston and different places within about an hour or two by car. We don't really go too far. I don't want to tie up my whole weekend just riding a bike. So yeah, we do other cities and stuff like that. We do group rides, we do grand fondos, and that's what we go to other areas to do. We don't go to other states. We don't have the budget for that. Let's see. Eddie says it's 17 Fahrenheit in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, it's winter. Tom Nix, was nice for 12 kilometer, felt good, made me happy, but as we know, it's not good for your body. But well, as long as you're wearing the right stuff. I mean, people ski in cold weather. Just wear breathable stuff, you'll be good. Yeah. It's good to get out. This time of year is cold everywhere. Yeah, Michael, our super legend from the land down under. Welcome, Michael. This is Abel. Abel says, if you have tools, all you need is some open-end wrenches, like a 4 mil, 5 mil, depending on the size of the bolt on your saddle. What he's saying is, if you have tools and medium mechanic skills, do not hesitate to go for the remote fit. As he just said, it took 3 sessions of 10 minutes to dial it to where I was happy. So yeah, so the thing is the challenge most people have is, okay, my saddle's uncomfortable. What do I do? Do I go forward? Do I go backward? Do I go down? Do I go up? I tell you what to do. So you're not guessing. So every change we make is an improvement to get you there. Because based on what you tell me, I can tell you whether you need to move the saddle back or forward. That's where people mess up. It's like they're not sure which direction to go or whether to go high. We take the guesswork out by starting with the formula first, then going with the feel. The biggest challenge, the reason I made those premium videos is because the way people were measuring things were different than how I measure them. So I found a different way to have people measure with the bubble that took out the horizon measurement. because what happens is the saddle height was coming in a little low. I think even Noel, when Noel did his saddle height came in a little lower. And even Sebastian, his saddle height came in a little lower. So I told him, okay, go up 3 millimeters at a time. To eliminate all of that, I found a different way to get the remote guys to do their measurement to where the saddle height they measured would not come in. It was coming in around a centimeter lower than where I wanted it to be if they would have been in the studio. So I made a video that will show, I'm going to be releasing it on Patreon maybe next week, on how to measure your saddle accurately so that it does not come in too low. That's the key. That's what was happening. So I learned a lot from the remote guys as far as how to make it easy for other non-fitters, to be able to dial in their fit a lot more accurately. The light is changing here, so the camera's trying to adjust. Let me turn this over this way. Maybe it'll help. So all the premium videos address the guessing areas. How do I do that? How do I do that? And they're very detailed. Someone even put a channel, I think it must have been Michael Fernandez, put a comment on Patreon. He watched one of the videos while I was talking about handlebar measurement, and he put a comment that it was a great video and so forth. But what I'm trying to address are the areas that people miss. If you don't do fit for a living, there are things you usually miss. And I'm making videos to eliminate the guesswork for people who sign up for the remote fit. It saves me time and it takes out the headache for them. So it's been streamlined to where it's a streamlined process, because when you get our invitational email, it has all the links to the videos you need to review before we begin, so that you're educated enough to know what we're going to be telling you to do. So it's a science now. I've got it down to where it's now worth my while to keep doing, because at first it was an investment, too much investment of my time on remote fits. So let's see here. Oh, Michael got his S&P saddle. What a difference that makes to riding. Well, I hope you got it set up correctly. Just make sure, because usually you have to set it a little further back than other standard saddles. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, I love that saddle. I really I have them on all my bikes. And somebody asked about the other models, and what I said was S&P makes a lot of different models, and I wanted them to understand that it's not practical to test all of them. So I went with the dynamic because Steve Hogg said that it fits most people. And if you don't have a local shop that can have you try the different ones, I went with that one. Now, it doesn't mean I couldn't ride some of the other ones, but it wouldn't have been practical to try to test all of them. It's expensive. You work on Azir. He said, thank you. I must have answered his question here. Yeah, remote fit. You're welcome. Take that link and go there. Everything starts with fit. Your bike doesn't fit you, you're not going to look forward to riding. You won't. It's not as much fun. Other riders been there. So Eric, Michael left. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on the S&P. I will purchase one. The S&P, what made me purchase that? I've ridden Specialized Ramen. Back in the day, we had a saddle called Flight. It was made by Cell Italia, just called Flight. Very lightweight, nice. The old Concord shapes. I've ridden all kinds of saddles. I have the body type to where I can use the standard saddles like Physique Arione. I've used that. They're fine. But there's something about the S&P that just sets it apart from all the saddles I've tried. I'm glad I tried it to really get that experience. You really feel like you're sitting in a saddle like if you were riding a horse. That dip that you see, somehow they did the research for our ischiopubic rheumas, the bones that you sit on, the sit bones. When you get that thing dialed in, that's all that touches that saddle. So what ends up happening is it does not matter which position you go in. There's no pinching on your undersides when you roll your hips to get in the drops and all of that. So it just seemed to be more ergonomically fitted to the human body than the other ones were. And then I did some reading on that company. They've invested a lot of research into fitting human bodies, so they just make really good stuff. And I started to see a lot of riders. You know how it is. if you buy a certain car, then all of a sudden you start to see more of it on the road. They were always there. You just never noticed it. It's the same thing when I started riding the S&P. Now all of a sudden hooked up with Mo's group, and I'm seeing every other rider has an S&P in that with those racers. I had never noticed it before that much. And that's kind of, you know, but that wasn't my reason for staying with it. It just felt good. I put it on. And I bought 3. I put them on each bike. They were that good. And once you find a saddle that works, stay with that brand, because then you're consistent and your measurements are consistent. Like when you measure your saddle setback and all that to replicate your position on another bike, it's only as good as the model you have. Because when you change the saddle, those numbers will change, and where you sit on the saddle will change. Just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Noel, hey, Noel's here. Hey, Noel, how you doing? I was just talking, Noel, about the remote fit. I was telling Azir that you had done the fit, and when I worked with you, your saddle came in a little lower, and we ended up going up once we did the initial measurement. And since then, I was telling him as I made a video that will tell remote people how to measure their fit using that bubble, so it's more consistent, so it doesn't come in low, because Sebastian Martinez also, his saddle came in lower when he tried to do the saddle height measurement. So I found a more consistent way for people who are not in my studio to do their measurement, so they don't come in low like you guys did. And I was explaining to him because he wanted to know how the remote fit worked. Noel's one of the guys that did our fit as well. Christopher is here. Christopher, your package has been delivered. I got the thing from those USPS folks. Should have been yesterday. They said they delivered it today around, let's see, at 1:55 p.m. your time at some mailbox, Zephyr Hills. Yeah, so your stuff is there. Check it out. Let's see here. Yeah, I know, Chris. I didn't schedule it today. It was a crazy week. I didn't get to ride all week. I've been busy. So I did it like maybe 15 minutes before, and then I released it, and that was too close to the time. Yeah. I prefer to schedule. A lot of channels just do live stuff, and they're live, and you get the thing that they're live. I like to schedule hours. That's what we're going to try to keep doing. And today was a little crazy. So, yeah. So Michael said he got the hybrid. The beak is quite extensive. Yeah. Yeah, the beak, that beak, I believe, makes it easy when you transition from standing to sitting. It's not going to grab your short. I think from that, just the way it's shaped, that works really well. You don't sit on that nose anyway, so yeah, I think that's what I've noticed. Doesn't grab my short. Some of the other saddles periodically would grab your chamois or something. Here we go. Noel Pagan. I didn't pay him to say that. I'm going to read this. Noel says, the Veloharmony remote fit service is worth more than all the money I've spent on my bikes, stuff, gear over the years. I slip through the wind now and can ride for hours. Thank you, Eldred. Well, thank you for being patient. We had to dial him in. Noel's a big guy, long arms like me. And I think he's even taller than me. And Noel had a bike that with the top tube and the stem, he was bunched up. So we ended up putting him on a 15. That was the longest. I believe I haven't seen anything longer than that that's available retail. We found a 15 centimeter stem, stretched him out. Hey, Robert, thank you. The reason we went with 15, his calculation, because what happened when he signed up, he did the bike sizing also. So when I put all the thing in the program, it called for a 16.2 centimeter stem for Noel. Well, there's not one out there. I know the pros probably have access to that. So the longest stem we found was made by Triple T, and it was with 15 centimeter stem. Well, I wanted him to have a minus 17 drop, because with a drop you can cheat. The drop will allow you gain. If something's lower, it's further out. So I figured he would gain another close to maybe 5 mil with that drop. Well, he could only find a plus and minus 6 drop, like a 6 degree. So where I cheated was I did the calculation to where with the 6-degree drop, we removed one of his spacers. So we got him close. You know, it may not be the perfect thing, but now he knows if he ever buys another bike, he knows how long his top tube needs to be. So he doesn't have to look for a 15-centimeter stem. But now we got him to where his arms are stretched out and so forth, you know. Then we had to work on issues. I think one of his knees injured, so he had to tweak that. I think he worked on his cleat and so forth. So what he's talking about took a lot of patience, but all it required is that you move your stem. Noel even bought the ruler from the hardware store with the bubble in there to make sure that stuff was level. And then when he would send me the video, I would look. He was next to a window in his house. And I said, I don't know. That saddle doesn't look level. I was using the window ledge. I could look at the saddle next to the window ledge. That saddle looks like it's not quite, you know. So it was really cool to do that because we got through it pretty quickly because he was on top of it. And that's the reason I do 14 days for people to talk and people can buckle down and focus and get it done and not put it off, you know. But so, yeah, the remote fit is necessary because your bike doesn't fit you. You have a lot of little aches and pains and saddle sores, and you don't want to ride that long. I ride too many hours on a weekend to be on an uncomfortable bike. Here we go. Stephen UK said, could someone who has had a remote fit give you permission to show the video of them riding so you could go through what you saw wrong with their fit and what you advise them to change? I'm not sure how that would work because there's not one video. There's so many different videos. I guess we could probably do something like that down the road. I would have to think ahead because I don't keep it. Once we're done with the fit, we get rid of the videos off of the drive. It's something maybe we'll do in the future. But Michael Fernandez, when you say a 12-inch roller bubble, is that like a level? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. When you go to the website, I have a picture of the level I use in the gallery for the remote fit. The product images is there. Yes, it's a level. The bubble is in the middle. You can get them at any hardware store. You just need a 12-foot one. And because that's what you use to put on your saddle. And this is not for a one-time thing. You will need that forever because that's what you're going to use to make sure your saddle at least starts at level. And if you need to go up or down, depending on your anatomy, you'll know how much you're going up or down. It takes the guesswork out of it. I think every rider should have that. And then that way you'll know if your floor is level. If you put that on your floor, the bubble's not always in the middle for every floor. It depends on how good the builder was. My floor, the bubble's a little to the back. So when I set my saddle in the room for people that I do fit on, I make sure the bubble is in the same spot as it is when I put the level on the floor. That's how you know your level. So then when you go on the road, there are no surprises. Yes, you need to get that. It's on there. I added that you know, I put there what you need. And one of the tools are the ruler and then Allen wrenches, the little Allen key to fit your seat post clamp. Some bikes use 4 or 5, and then the seat clamp on the seat post. Some of them are 4 or 5, depending on what you have. And you can get one of those triangular things, like get one that fits all. You can use that for it. But that's all you need, the little keys that most cyclists already have. And you just need that ruler, which most cyclists don't necessarily have. That's the biggest thing. That helps when you watch the premium videos. That's where I tell you, make sure the bubble's here when you do the measurement. That's how you keep the thing. So I added that video, which is coming out next week after I worked with Sebastian and Noel. Because then I found I have to find a way to where people don't come in too low because they were coming in a little lower, and then we had to edge them back up. All right. Hey, Robert Tangler, your birthday. I didn't know that. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday to you. All right. Many more, man. Happy birthday. Oh, Chris says the jersey was sent to his friend's house. I will go get it tomorrow. I live kind of far from him. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, cool. I just want to make sure it got there. Our USP is pretty good. I hope they're not one of the guys that aren't getting paid. These people need to work this stuff out. People going to work more than a month not getting paid. That doesn't make any sense. And then one of the geniuses up there, not the politicians, one of the cabinet ministers, some Ross guy talking about, they can go get a loan against their federal pay. Yeah, so they can pay interest on their pay. I mean, I wanted to throw something at the TV. You know, these millionaires out there, you know, I bet you they're not having problems with money. You know, we've got too many rich people up there. They need to have term limits, get them out of there because they're not sharing the pain of everybody, everyday people. You're supposed to go borrow money against your paycheck and pay interest on it. Talking about they should be able to do that. It shouldn't be a problem. It's just a little pain. Like to meet him in an alley, just smacking him in the face. All right, let's see here. I ended up, the Mo said he ended up moving his saddle back a few millimeters and tweaked his left cleat. My old injury pain is gone. Yeah. And usually the movements are, whenever we're moving for comfort, I do them in 3 millimeter increments because that's enough for you to feel a change. That's the fore aft. That, I made a video about that. It's very subjective. That's how you find where you sit on the saddle. Now, once you do find that, if you stick with the same brand, you can drop a plumb line from the tip of your saddle and measure your setback from the bottom bracket. And then you can replicate that on any bike. It eliminates the guesswork out of setting the next fore aft on another bike because the setback will always be the same as long as you don't change the saddle brand. Okay. Azir Khalid. Perhaps a before and after video, so long as you have permission from the client, would be a great way to advertise this service. I don't know. We've done that. We've done that stuff with Frankie's Fit. We actually have a fit video on the channel in the bike fit video of doing stuff I've done in the studio. So we have those out there. There's no reason to do that. Do you have a video discussing crank length and how to determine the correct size? I don't believe I do. If I do, it's in the bike fit video. Let's see here. But as far as crank length, 172.5. If you're if up to about maybe 6 feet, 172.5 is fine. That's the reason why they come on most bikes. If you're very tall, say big, taller than say 5'10" or so, I ride 175. I've ridden 180s in time trials when I used to compete. I didn't care for them. I used them. They were okay. They say, oh, they give you more leverage. You still have to adjust your saddle anyway because the circle changes, So I settled on 175. That just feels now. Your body will adapt to whatever thing you decide to use. Some people get too much into it. They want to get custom cranks. That's not necessary. Your body will adjust. Most bikes come with 172.5 generally, unless they're very small frames, and they might have 165 or something like that. But I don't think you need to worry too much about it unless you're very tall, like 6'5" or something like that, and you want to try maybe 1775. They used to make 1775. They probably still have them. I've tried all of those, and I settle on 175. That's what I ride. So whenever I buy anything, I ask for 175. If you're 5'10" or shorter, 172.5 will work fine. And even some people almost 6 feet, they're riding 172.5. Your body adapts because if you get a longer crank, your saddle height will change to accommodate your pedal circle. So I don't know if I made a video specifically about that, but we addressed that in the Bike Fit video. So you can look in the Bike Fit playlist. Should be something in there. Mike said loan interest is free, but it's all bull. No one cries when we get played off or lose our jobs. Exactly. Yeah, you shouldn't have to go borrow money against your job. The federal government should be ashamed of themselves. It's an embarrassment. I mean, you think about it. What private company would not be paying their employees? The EEOC would be all over them. So how can the federal government do that and get away with it? And actually they're costing the company. This guy, be honest, I gave this guy, I tried to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. He's a lousy businessman. There is no businessman that will run a business like that and the business be viable. That's why the banks refuse to lend him money. because the stuff he does makes no sense. Like you cut off your nose to spite your face. How do you treat people like that? You got people in and out of the White House like a revolving door. Nobody wants to work for you. And then you come out and say, oh, I'm going to not pay you, and you're supposed to keep going to work. How does that work? So now here it is. Our government is going to have to pay people that they call furloughed. These people want to work. They're forced to stay home because you got a kid in daycare. You got to stay and watch your kids. The daycare doesn't care that what the government's doing. They need their money. So people can't pay for daycare, so they're with the kids, or they can't buy gas, so they're home. Okay, they're not. Let's say they're non-critical employees. I already call them. I don't know how I got on this, but it just doesn't make sense in my business mind. Our government will have to pay those people back pay, even though those people wanted to be at work for work they weren't allowed to do. How is that positive for the government? We're losing money. So how is that a good? That's how you make a deal? It's time to give somebody else a chance. That guy has no clue what he's doing. You know, you're going to pay for something you chose not to get because you stopped them from going to work, but you're going to have to pay them. Yes, because they're employees of the federal government. You should be paying them. But look at when it happened, around Christmas. I mean, what's wrong with this guy? What is he, the Grinch? Anyway, let's get back to cycling. You know? Let's see. Michael says he's got a new pair of Giro shoes. You recommend new cleats? Well, if you need them, if you got cleats that work, then you use them. I don't know what kind of pedal system you have, but it doesn't really matter. If your cleats are not worn, just put them on there. You don't have to get new cleats because you got new shoes. You know. But usually, if you got new shoes, you probably have another pair of shoes. I wouldn't take the cleats off of that one. It's good to have at least a couple of pairs of shoes. So, yeah, put another pair of cleats on the other one and have at least two shoes set up just in case. So you're ready to go. Somebody says, HCOB76 says he's getting a pain in the left shoulder or upper back or neck area. That's what my buddy Paul had when I met him. What could be wrong with my fit? Everything. I'm not laughing at you, but yeah, it's that's kind of a red herring. That's what my buddy Paul had. His saddle was high, bars were off, stem was short. You need a fit. You shouldn't be getting any pains. You should be comfortable. You should not be getting any pain. So yeah, you need a fit. Don't put that off. Your body's telling you something's wrong. A lot of cyclists think every cyclist is uncomfortable. That's not the case. They just don't know. Like the guy who said, I've been riding for 10 years. I didn't know what I did not know about cycling until I came to the site. Some people just don't know. They think everybody is uncomfortable. We met a guy on a ride a while back. I think it was summer. He was just like damp and sweaty or whatever. He assumed we were the same way. I think it was a day. I don't know if it was kind of an odd day. We get a lot of odd weather here, but he was just wearing the wrong stuff. And when he stopped, he was all wet because his garments were not wicking. The sweat was just sitting under there, whatever he was wearing. And he assumed that we were experiencing the same. Paul and I kind of smiled. I didn't say a word. We had some store. We stopped at a gas station on Fish Creek somewhere. And after he left, I told Paul, I said, he just presumed that we were experiencing the same thing he was. No, he was wearing the wrong garments that did not breathe. And so when he stopped, he was hotter than when he was on the bike. It was during summer. You have to wear the right stuff. So yeah, you need to get a fit. Don't put it off. You will have more fun. Hopefully the bike you got is within the parameters that can be fitted to you. So don't be surprised if you go to a fitter and he says, this bike's too small for you or too big for you. A lot of riders don't check before they buy it necessarily. And sometimes you might get lucky to where it's in the range. They can still fit you to it. So Noah wants to know here, have you heard of treating your carbon fork after cutting it? Nail polish. I saw a carbon repair guy on YouTube talking about water getting into the carbon pores over time. I don't think it's necessary. I don't believe so. I have cut many steerer tubes. I even made a video about slamming your stem where I cut customer bikes and so forth. All I do is, the thing is, if you have the right clamp to where you're not dancing all over the thing and it's a clean cut, All I do is I use a file and get the burrs out, and I think you're fine. There's no water that's going to get in there. That's a bit overkill. So no, I don't think you need to. You just have to make sure it's a clean cut to where you don't have all the loose fibers all over the place. Because carbon, they're layered. And so if it starts unraveling, then you weaken it. So it's important that you use that clamp to where when you're cutting, the blade does not move around. David Brunati, since the weather is so bad, why is the weather bad? I talked about this the other day. The weather is challenging, David. It might be cold and snowy and whatever. We need that. That's the snow's going to melt, give you. Let's see. Michael Fernandez, can you wear aero uniform during summer? You can wear it anytime you want. I mean, it depends on I guess you're talking about the aero jersey or whatever, or skin suit. I don't know. It has to do with what you can tolerate for the weather. I mean, most of the aero stuff, they're not designed for very cold weather. So if you wear them when it's cold, you'll probably be wearing a base layer. But I like to wear, if I had an aero suit, I'd wear it in the winter because you don't have any gaps. It could be like a base and then put a jersey on top. But yeah, you can wear it during the summer. A lot of them are pretty lightweight. Depends on what fabric, that your suit is made out of. So if you get most of the aero stuff, they're not thermal necessarily. I'm sure they have them out there. So depending on if it's not thermal, yeah. Yeah, Chris said my connection went out, but I think it came back. I hope it's back. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's back. Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm looking at my modem over there, and it's full speed. We pay for high speed. We get all this stuff. So here, I don't know if you guys, you can see this message. Somebody named Tommy557 said, please tell your fans to subscribe to Tommy557. This is somebody who's trying to promote his channel the wrong way. Why would you want people subscribing to something they don't have any interest in? Don't focus on the number of subscribers you have. Focus on the quality of your content. That's more important. Go to Nick Nimmin, Tommy. He'll tell you how to grow your channel the proper way. Roy Batka said, where do you stand on unpadded shorts over bib tights? I've used them before. I mean, sometimes, yeah, down here I don't have the need. Some riders use them when it's really cold and they need 2 layers. So they'll put on bib tights and then put on unpadded, tights. They have unpadded tights. All the vendors make them. They're fine. Just get them nice and snug and they'll work. It's like another layer. But I don't ride in freezing conditions or below freezing to need that. When it's really that cold, I just put the bike on the trainer. I don't go much below freezing. Freezing and up. That's because it just gets to where you got to carry so much stuff like you're talking about, putting tights over tights. It gets to be too much. So, yeah, they'll work. There are a lot of riders that will use, not, I guess you mean, and the tights don't have to be full length. They'll wear regular bib tights and then put on tights over that. A lot of riders have that. I think Rafa has stuff that they sell. That's why they specify bib tights with pads on the ones that have pads. And then they have some that don't have pads. Yeah, that's fine. That's standard stuff. A lot of riders have that. Yeah, Noel's talking about the carbon fork cutting. I use the there is a tool from Park Tool that you clamp with. Once you mark where you're going to cut, you clamp and it leaves a little gap where the blade goes into, so the blade does not get to move. And the video that I made about slamming your stem and how you cut it, it's in there. With that tool, it takes out all that dancing around of the blade, and it is really quick. In fact, I can even do it while it's on the bike, because a lot of people come for fit. And once I get them dialed in and they want things cut down, I don't take the bike apart. I do it right on the stand. All I do is I plug the steerer tube with a paper towel, damp paper towel, because you're going to get like the little fibers on it. Damp paper towel inside the hole so it doesn't go all the way through. And then I go ahead and mark it, clamp it, and cut it if they want it cleaned out. But a lot of times I only cut that if the rider has put some miles on the bike. You want to make sure they're happy with that position, because once you cut it, you can't come back up. So I always leave about a centimeter, though. I always leave about maybe a centimeter and cut it to where you've got a little bit over the thing. It's not completely flush, unless they're 100% sure, because you never know. And then you end up having to need a new fork if you want to go back up. You're welcome, Roy. Michael says, are you able to send the link for the premium videos? The premium videos are on Patreon, Michael. You have access. Just go to Patreon. The videos are there. Yeah, I'm putting another one there next week on the saddle height measurement, but it should be the one for the handlebar. I believe you are the one that left a comment. You already have access to it. I believe you've been there. Let me see. I believe you left a comment on one of the videos you watched. I actually ended up adding Paul Ilonga's fit that we did on his Scatante. I added that there. Let me see. Yeah, we got Carlo and another guy that I did. So what I'm doing now, and when I do people's fit, I'm going to put them on Patreon. It's kind of like behind the scenes for the supporters of the channel. So it will help you guys as well. Yeah, it's on there, because even Troy Serrano saw that. Let's see, Jeffrey. Yeah, you should. Let's see. Did you put a comment out there? So go to Patreon. And yeah, you already put a comment on there, Fernandez. You got a comment on handlebar setup. Those are the premium videos. Only you guys have access to that. I don't load it on the channel. And they're actually on the website for those who want to download them for a fee. So yeah, that's what it is. Let's see. All right. We got another idiot here that I need to get rid of. So let's put him out permanently. Go to another channel and waste time. Everybody that has access to the internet does not necessarily use it properly. And that's fine. If someone builds a wall to block you, what do? You go around it. Can you say Canada? I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Let's see. Quick question. Mike Kalinsky, what is the best brand of cycling shoes you had, in your opinion? Diodoras and CDs, which I currently have. There's no best brand. It's what works for you. I've ridden with CDs. I've had Diodoras. The shoes are made for a certain shape of foot. So if you have a lot of arch, you can naturally just fit CDs really well. Shimano, Giro, Lake are made for people with flat feet with less arch. So Giro ships their shoes with multiple arches in there, along with the shoe when you buy it. For people who have more arch, you have a lot of cushion. You can adjust the fit. If you get a shoe that doesn't suit your foot, then you'll need a footbed so that your foot doesn't move around. And it may seem like it's minor, but it's not. All of that affects your fit. So yeah, you have to find a brand that suits what they call the last suits your foot. And that's how you determine. I use Giro shoes, and I've used Shimano, but I like the Giro shoes now. I use the Pro Light series. I have different copies of them. And then I also have the Rafa shoes because they're made by Giro. It's the same last. to fits my foot out of the box. I don't have to use any of those additional things they send, so they just sit. But yeah, that's how you want to do it. Find the brand that fits your foot, kind of like a saddle. Not all the brands will fit your foot, so you really need to know which shoe will work for you before you buy it online. Go to the bike shop first if you don't know, and make sure your foot will fit that bottom to where your arch is cradled comfortably in the shoe. There's no gaps. So some riders have to get custom footbeds made for them just to rule out the guesswork. A lot of the pros do it, They probably don't even have to spend money on it. I'm sure the team does it for them. But you need to make sure the footbed is made for cycling shoes, so it's not thick. It needs to be thin. Because there's some orthotics that people use that are too thick and they make your shoe uncomfortable. The cycling shoes are relatively made to where they will conform to your foot. They don't have a whole lot of room for very thick stuff. Like if you go and get Dr. Scholl's and stuff like that, it may not feel too good in the shoe. Ron Sauer said, how many languages? Paul speaks, that I know of, French and English. I speak a little bit of French and English. I know a little bit of German and some Italian that I picked up from hanging around other people. I'm constantly trying to learn different phrases and languages. But French, I studied French in school. It was required. Where we grew up, we're required to learn the languages of our neighbors. And the countries around Liberia, like Guinea, Sierra Leone, they would come. They have merchants that would come to sell. And we were required to learn the language because it was customary to speak to strangers. We call them strangers. We don't call them aliens like they do here in the U.S. We call them strangers. You were required to speak to strangers in their language so that they felt at home. That's the way, that's how the rest of the world behaves. And you guys do the same thing in Europe. There are little kids that speak 5-6 languages. You got the people in Belgium that have Flemish and stuff. They're in their own country, and you go to one part of the country and the language is different. You may not even understand it, but you're still in the same country. So you want to learn that, yeah. So I pick up a little bit, like German. I picked up Danke, Bitte, different things just so I can understand it. So that's kind of cool. I think we need to learn the languages of people, and I think it's really cool. It makes people feel at home. I don't subscribe to calling people aliens on Earth. Leave it to the U.S. to come up with the harshest words to describe somebody from a different place. Like they're from here. So you wonder what the Indians would have called them. So the people they call Indians, because Columbus got lost. He thought he was in India. So anyway, don't get me started. Let's get back to cycling. Michael said, "Non parlez-vous France?" France. You see, yeah, he said it's Francais. 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 So basically, yeah, like the languages are not that hard. I mean, it's just a matter of picking up the phrases and then using it. Like I studied it in school, but because I didn't use it that much, you kind of lose it. But then once you start to use it, all of a sudden it starts, they taught us the conjugation of the verbs and counting and, the different stuff. And so you pick up on it. I teach my little girl some of the words. Like my 7-year-old says goodnight to me, bonsoir. My wife looked at me like, what's that all about? I said, well, she's learning another language. So we learn Spanish here in the schools here, which is really ridiculous. We're in Houston, Texas. Our neighbors are Mexico, Honduras, Venezuela further down, Spanish. The schools here sent me a note, wanted me to pay them $200 to teach my daughter Chinese. I told the teacher, you're out of your freaking mind. Who the heck she gonna speak it with or to? Chinese? I'm gonna pay you money to learn a language that's not gonna be likely used by her. For what reason? So I told the teacher, I said, you should be teaching them Spanish for free so they can use it. We got enough people living here in Texas that speak Spanish. That's the kind of nonsense we're dealing with. They look down on the people that are right here under their nose, want to teach them Chinese. The country that is the guy we put in the White House is, well, not we, I didn't put him there, but anyway, he's our president, unfortunately. But he's fighting China. We want to teach our kids Chinese. told the teacher that I had my wife like, you open a can of worms. And when I started to talk, the teacher started backing up. I said, yeah. I said, don't waste my time saying I'm going to spend money to learn Chinese for what? I said, teach them Spanish. They can use it out of the door. They have Spanish kids in the school. She just looked at me. I said, who came up with that idea? Just a bunch of dumb ideas. Go teach them Chinese. To do what with it? I'm not against learning Chinese, but who's she going to speak it with? I'm going to pay you money for that? Forget that. She can go on Google if she wants to learn Chinese when she's older. So anyway, I got into that. But that's the kind of nonsense we're dealing with. We should be learning Spanish. That's why I learned Spanish. I'm teaching myself. Everybody I've hung around since I've been in the U.S. Here in Houston, I try to learn Spanish as much as I can. Habla un poquito de español. Try to learn it properly. And it's amazing the smile that comes when you start to speak Spanish to a Spanish-speaking person, and they don't expect you to know Spanish. They brighten up. It's like they just smile. They're like, at least you're trying. And I think it's the same thing. Americans go to France, want to ask the people in France, do you speak English? You're in France. Why are you asking them to speak English? You're in France. They speak French. You went there. You need to speak French. And that's why we would treat it like we're arrogant. Don't go to France to ask them to speak English. Go to England and ask them if they speak English. Because we don't. I think there's a joke. Rex Harrison in the movie My Fair Lady, he said in America they haven't spoken English for years. Anyway, let's get back to cycling. All right, let's see. Guilherme Adioye. I remember that name. He said, hello, how are you doing? I just bought a Cell SMP Evolution. I guess you can use our, go to the Bike Fit videos to help you set it up. It shouldn't matter what brand you bought. The setup is the same. Let me pull up let's go back. There was a Bike Fit playlist. You need to start with the saddle height and so forth. So I'm going to give you the playlist, because without the playlist, you may be starting with the wrong height. If you're still having problems, then you can sign up for our remote fit, because some people have challenges there. Here's the link to the playlist for setting up your saddle. Doesn't matter what saddle brand it is. The process is the same. All right. Let's see here. Francia, Michael, yeah. What are realistic, Abel Bajay, our super legend, said, what are realistic expectations on FTP for the first when someone starts on a structured plan? Well, that's kind of a red herring question. It's hard to say when you say, where are you now? You got to find out what your functional threshold power is, how much you can put out. In other words, for, let's say, an hour. You never test that long. But you need to do the threshold test. I remember you bought that plan, and we're talking about just staying with the same numbers. So when you want to find out whether your numbers have changed, you will need a threshold test. Now, as far as everybody's going to be different. How much you improve will have a lot to do with your talent, your gene, your work ethic, how much work you do. It's going to vary for every individual. So it's hard to say. So what you want to do is to make sure that maybe every quarter you can test your FTP, which is not a whole lot of fun. But the test I have on the website is for like 20 minutes of work, total of 30 minutes, but 20 minutes is recorded for your FTP. And then you can see how you're improving. But yeah, it's going to vary. There's nothing that's the same for everybody. Bad Vegan, how you doing? Elder, you speak the truth. We have to appreciate what we have in our own house first. Like, you're right about that. I don't know why they look down on those people. I hate that. Those people have a lot to offer. We have these guys here. They're cutting grass. They're building houses. But then we say we don't want them to come here. Who's going to do the work? Because the other guys don't want to do the work. The GC wearing a tie, you give him the money. But when the people come to the site to do the work, it's all guys from Mexico, Honduras, and stuff. Those are the guys building the houses out here. They do a great job. So yeah, it just I don't understand it. They got to work on, but they'll work that out, I'm sure. Let's see here. Ron Saras Tranquilo lived in Colombia, majored in Spanish lit. Yep. FTP increase. Yeah, Abel, the work, the thing you bought, the plan you bought will increase your functional threshold power. You're going to build a strength in your legs. You're going to do there's a tempo intervals in there. There's threshold intervals in there, I believe. But then once I release the in-season plan will focus more on threshold work, and that will get your FTP to go up. But the work you're doing now with the base is also going to build up your FTP because you're increasing your endurance zone and other things else. So yeah, you're on the path. You know, it's not a whole lot of fun trying to do those tests too frequently. So I don't like for people to do the test that often. So don't focus too much on that. Just know that the work you're doing by strengthening your legs, because when you strengthen your legs, that will get you up the hills faster because you'll be able to use larger gears. And then by doing those workouts, the long rides, the long endurance rides, the tempo rides, that's what will build up your endurance, because you have to start with endurance. If you don't have endurance, you can't do anything very long. So yeah, you're on the path. That's the next set of workouts I got to build. I'm working on that to get the in-season workouts coming up. You're on week 3 and enjoying the plan. Well, that's good. So that plan will just stay with it. That's some of the workouts that I've developed from the people I coach regularly. So where I would give them 6-week work, I would put a workout in there just to see. And I was just talking to Mike Daniel, one of the guys I coached. Mike signed up a little while ago, maybe in the fall, and his issue was he had high blood pressure, he was overweight. So his goal was to lose weight. So now Mike just sent me a text. Funny you brought this up. Mike sent me a text. It was this week, maybe around Tuesday or Wednesday. Mike didn't tell me at first that his numbers had come in better. What he said is, how long do I stay on your program? And so I replied, I said, you can quit anytime you want. I said, all I require is that people sign up for 3 months, because if I'm going to invest the time in getting to know you, give me an opportunity to at least get you going. So 90 days is about fair. He'd already done the 90 days that we asked for as far as a contractual commitment. So I said, you're done with the 90 days. You can stop anytime. Then he replied and told me, oh, no. I'm not talking about stopping the plan. What I'm talking about, a different workout plan, meaning harder or whatever. Because my numbers, I went to the doctor and my numbers are better. And I'm finally, he was on all these drugs for high blood pressure. So he's getting better now, and now he wants to ride harder. So I replied and told him, no, your goal is to lose weight. If I have you do something harder, you will burn your carbs, but not the fat. I said, so right now, the reason your numbers are better is because of this workout. So why you want to change what's working? Then he said, oh. I said, yeah, you will have plenty of time to go harder later. But right now, your goal is to lose weight. I can't give you a workout for a guy who wants to win a race. And so he got it. And so he said, oh, I didn't mean that I wanted to leave the plan, because I thought that's what he wanted. I didn't want him to feel like you have to stay, because I want people to feel like they're getting value when they sign up. And so, but I told him, I said, man, you're not going to be doing all these drugs anymore. Because, with these drugs, you'll take one, then you get a symptom or what they call it, side effect. Then you need another drug for that. Then you need another, before you know it, you got a little pharmacy. And so he's getting to where he won't need. I said, we need to get you off of all those things first. Then you can start thinking about it. I said, but it's not like I'm giving him easy stuff. The same stuff Abel's talking about that he likes. But I gave him less workout than Abel, because he doesn't need he doesn't need threshold. He needs endurance. He needs long rides. His challenge was, at first, he only had 3 days to work out. And I told him, you need more days. Now he's got to where he realized. So he's giving himself 6 days now. I said, great. Now you got 6 days. So do the same workouts on more days. And then on the weekend, do a long ride. That's what's getting you off of. That's why your numbers are better. All your blood vessels and stuff are going to open up. You don't need to kill yourself to get there. So he's finally getting it. And that's the thing. It takes patience for whatever you're trying to do. You want to be fast, it's going to take patience. You can't work out fast all the time. Now, every workout cannot be fast. People that run track don't do 100-meter dash every workout. Not possible. You have to have structure. And then you have certain days where you go hard. Then the other days, you can still work out, but you give your body a chance to rest. Same thing with cycling. It's not just specific to cycling. It's any kind of sport. Soccer players don't play full blast all the time. There are workouts where they just pass the ball to each other. They control where the ball ends up. The drills. And then they have days where they're going full, so you get to an event fresh and you're not killing yourself. Same thing. That's the key. Keep that in mind. Just be patient. So Michael said, how long does the plan go for normally? It's going to vary, Michael, with your goal. So what happens is Abel had been off for the winter and, just living life, enjoying himself. And now he's ready to get ready for something. So what I suggested is instead of him doing the monthly plan, he'd already been on our monthly plan, so he understood our methodology. So I told him, just buy the 12-week base plan because he'd been off like a whole month. And his roads are not clear until May. His event is later, like July, I'm thinking. So I told him, use the 12-week plan to build your base. A lot of people think base means slow. No, there's workouts in there. But by going consistently, when it's time to go harder, you already done some hard stuff, but a lot of steady stuff. So it's a workout. My base plan is not crawling around going to grandma's house. You working, but it's structured to where it's kind of like you don't need gym work now. We put it in your workouts. Big gear, low cadence intervals, threshold, and tempo. So then you have endurance, all of that in there. So by the time you're done, you hit your zone. I've got his zones. So we're working by zones so he can use those efforts. So if you have a power meter, we'll do your threshold test and get your zone. We didn't need to do a threshold test for Abel. I said, let's just use the same numbers. Then later we can do another threshold test. So it depends on when your event is and when you're starting, So the further out is better. So, 12 weeks. It's a good range to really prepare for an event. Because every 6 weeks you can feel an appreciable change. So 12 weeks is like a good base. But if you have not been doing anything, I want you to do at least 12 weeks, if you've been off. But if you've been riding, and you can get you there in 8 weeks. I'm going to build something. There's another thing that's on my list to build where you can get off the couch and in 8 weeks be ready to do a Grand Fondo or something like that. There's always somebody who just, I just been off for a little bit. I want something real quick and dirty. So we're going to do different things like that. Let's see. Sugar Shack 74. Do you do product reviews? Of course I do product reviews. They're all over. There's a product review playlist right here. Let's see. It looks like you have not even checked out the channel, man. There's a bunch of stuff. I got almost 400, 500 videos coming up here. Yeah, I do product reviews. There's a lot of different products out there. Let's see. I think I called it Veloharmony Reviews. Where is it? Right there. Here's the link. There's a playlist for all the reviews. Yeah, I just got a company that approached me, and I replied today telling them to send me the link so I can see their products. They want to send products for me to introduce to you guys, but don't give me the link for me to see the products. I told them don't send anything until I can see what you have. I don't want junk. It's like I'm not familiar with your products. You need to give me this stuff. So hopefully they'll have good stuff for me to do. So now Abel says, why are pros worried about peaking too soon? Is form bound to decline, or is it just a matter of accumulative fatigue? There you go. The human body has a finite amount of energy, Abel. So let's say you have an event coming up in March, and this is January. If you peak in January, it's going to be hard for you to keep that peak until March. The reason being is for you to peak, it takes a lot of work to get you there. So you want to peak right before your event because your body can only tolerate maybe 2 peaks a year. Some people 3. Everybody has a different limit. You don't want to find out by surprise. That's why you see some of these guys go to the Grand Tours and they'll do a week and they're doing great. Then the next week, they fall apart. Has a lot to do with what they did before they got there. So until you get to know what your body needs, that's why guys like Froome and Dumoulin and so forth that have been doing the stages, the Grand Tours for a while, they know exactly what it will take and what form they need to bring. Some of them come a little below so that they can get stronger and peak during the event, because the event is 3 weeks. Those at that level. So if you have an event coming up and you don't know your body, then you need to be cautious and back off until like 2 weeks before your event, because you want to come into the event peaking as you get there. If the event, especially if it's like a 1 week event or a 1 weekend event, then yeah, you peak that weekend and you get there at your best. Because if you peak too early, it's hard to stay there. It takes a lot of work to maintain a peak. And then you might get to your event tired. So you're right about accumulative. It's a science. There is no way to really nail it down, because even if you did great last year on the same plan, next year the human body is so different from year to year. The human body is so different that you can't tell how are you going to arrive there. That's the challenge. So if you watch all the champions that have done the big tours, they don't do the exact same program every year, because you don't know how your winter's going to go. If you catch a cold or you start the season and you have an injury, there's always something. So you have to be able to adapt. They don't always come to the tour in the same condition each year, but they know they at least need to be in a certain range so that they can get stronger each week. The ones that get stronger throughout the tours do best, so that by the third week when everybody's tired, they're peaking. And then you have to have what they call a big engine. Not everybody can tolerate that workload. So your body has to be to where you got a diesel. You know, some riders don't do well under a lot of work, a lot of load. It can actually break them down. So you have to identify what kind of engine you have and know, oh, I can't ride like that guy. I can't do 1,000 miles a week or whatever. I need to back off for me so that I can be at my best. And you can still be able to compete with the guy who needs 1,000 miles. Everybody's different. You can't just mirror another person's training plan. That's why I tell people on here to come and ask for advice. I don't know you. I don't know what you've done. I don't know any of your numbers or anything. So I can't give you really good advice. So yes, it's very, very tricky. Let's see here. Oh, Rafa, which jersey, Michael? I did a lot. Is that the training jersey? Yeah, Rafa jersey. I like the pro team and also the classic jersey. They're pretty good. I hope you got it on sale, because they still have some of them on sale, but it looks like you missed the sale. I avoid getting them at full price whenever possible. We got about 5 minutes left. Sugar Shack 74. I just bought a shock stop stem and wanted to know your opinion. I am not familiar with shock stop. I'm looking for every way to remove vibes off the arms and wrist. It sounds like you need a fit. You shouldn't need a special stem to remove vibration off of your wrist. So what it sounds like is you need your fit dialed in. I don't know what a shock stop stem is, but I can look it up here. You shouldn't need anything special. Like I talked about gel saddles, all that crap. You don't need them. You're trying to deal with another problem. But it sounds like you need a fit. Let's see here. Shock stop. Suspension stem. I just use a regular stem. I don't know why you need a suspension stem. Yeah, it looks like they've got a bolt that holds a piece that attaches to the part that gets on the. Yeah, there's no reason for anything special. If you're having problems with vibration on your hands, maybe your hands are going to numb or something, then it sounds like you need your fit dialed in. You got too much pressure on your hands. All right, let's see here. Oh, the training jersey, Michael. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you can get it on sale, because I got it because it was on sale. It's this time of year they're trying to get rid of the old lines and bring in the new stuff. There is a jersey I ordered successfully. I say successfully because it's called, let me look it up. It's it's a limited edition. They only made 100 of them. This is a race for people who old school cyclists. They call it the Milano Roma. There was a race. The last one was held. There were 2 editions of it. It was held in 1918, called the Milano Roma. jersey and leave it to Rafa to find an obscure race and do something for it. Milano Roma jersey, they made a limited edition jersey, just very beautiful. And I got the email 2 months ago. As soon as I got the email, clicked on it, the jersey's all sold out. And this is a $200 jersey on Rafa. I was like, how exactly did these guys, I mean, you know, I know they said 100, but I guess I just missed out. Just 2 months ago. And then 3 days ago, Paul and I are talking. We're moving around Rafa. We always talk. He finds something. He asks me a question about it. We're looking at stuff. And I found one in my size was there. I don't know where it came from because they had all sold out. They only had like extra small. I bought it. They've shipped it. The jersey is unique. Milano Roma is made out of merino wool, and it comes with matching arm warmers, and they have ribs in the arm warmers, just like the old days in the 40s and probably the 1900s, the kind of wooling thing the guys used to wear. They made it a replica of it, but it's merino wool. But just a jersey where you see it, you'll be like, man, just unique. Got buttons. The pockets have buttons. And I snatched it, and it was just like I was thrilled because they're not going to make any more. That's the kind of jerseys I like, because when I got into cycling, I was into the old stuff, you know, 50s and earlier. So they have another jersey I've talked about that is the EF jersey in stealth, black stealth. It's already sold out. I was like, man, I don't remember getting an email about it. I guess it was just there. But they said it's limited as well. The team's going to use it in the New Zealand and Australian nationals. That's what they're going to use it at. So those are the kind of things I look for, because I have a bunch of jerseys, so I want unique stuff, old school. So once that jersey comes, I will be wearing on the other route. I'll do a review of it because I think it's just really, really unique that this guy does that. Simon Mottram and company. Nobody else is doing that. So he paid homage to this race that is long forgotten, Milano Roma. You know, and you have to really do the research to find out, you know, it's not Milan San Remo. I mean, just another, you know, old cycling race. So let's see here. Avoid any extra damage. So Sugar said, I say he's getting that stem to avoid any extra damage. He was fitted. I have a torn EC. Oh, okay, got you. So you got an injury. Yeah, but you still, if your weight is centered, you shouldn't be feeling anything on your hands. That's what I'm saying. Because you shouldn't have any weight on the bars. You know, so. Oh, yeah, cool. Michael's, yeah, get them on sale whenever possible. So I got that jersey at regular price because it was not even available. I'm watching that black jersey. If it comes on, I'm grabbing it. Yeah, see. So Jaya Dewa, we're going to wrap up with this one. He said, have you tried using a smart trainer? I found that I could load up GPX maps of hills. I compare my time. Nope. I don't bother with that. I just get on a trainer and ride. So no, I'm not going to invest the money in smart trainer. I'll use my money for my kids. So no need for that. I have a dumb trainer. It works great. I just put it on, I ride and turn on the telly or watch YouTube or whatever. But yeah, but if you have a smart trainer, I'm sure there are cool things. I just don't mess with too many gadgets indoor. I just get on that ride. Even on the road. I put that head unit on there really just to look at cadence. Cadence, the first one I have. And then I use it. I don't carry a timepiece on my arm. I use the clock to know what time of day it is. Other than that, the rest of the stuff, I don't pay attention to that. And I only glance at cadence when things are changing. I just kind of glance periodically to see what I'm hitting. Yeah, but I just ride, you know. A lot of times I take that sucker, put it in my pocket. You know, when we get to the store, we take them off the bikes. I don't leave them out because those things are expensive. I don't want somebody snatching it. So yeah. But anyway, we're gonna wrap up. I'm glad I will put the schedule out early. I didn't do it for the day, but I'm glad you guys were able to make it. We will still stay with the Wednesday and the Friday. I want to thank all the super chatters. I want to thank all the Patreon people. Because of you guys, I'm able to do this. Without that, I wouldn't be able to invest the time. So I really want to thank you and let you know that I appreciate you guys. Robert Tangler, all of you guys. Abel Bajay, of course. Christopher Roxbury, all of you guys, I want to thank you. And so those of you who are enjoying this, we'll put them out 24 hours or so before. so that you guys know it's here. But it's because it's unique. I like what it does to this channel. Nobody else is doing it in this space. You're welcome, Jayadeva. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Those of you who are liking this, consider doing a super chat to help us keep this going. Sugar Shack, we'll talk to you next time. Be good. Stay safe.